You've had an idea and it's got you all fired up. You've talked about it endlessly and sketched out plans late into the night. Even when others don't get it, you know what's possible. And from that seed, your idea begins to grow because you know it has the ability to change lives, including yours and your family's, to bring people closer and help them recharge. Because you know there's more to building a unique hospitality or glamping business than just looking after people. Welcome to episode 14. Glamping and unique holiday rentals are surging in popularity with the growing desire of customers to book holidays that deliver an experience. They are also the new business of choice for those wanting to improve their work-life balance. So how do you build a strong business like this that gives you the life you need and a great investment? I'm Sarah Riley and I want to share what I've discovered after being immersed in this industry for over 20 years to inspire you to find out more about what's going on. Welcome, this is the business of glamping and unique holiday rentals. Hello and thank you so much for joining me today. It is absolutely a pleasure to have you here. I hope you've been enjoying the podcast episodes so far. I can't believe we're already on episode 14. It's crazy, but life is crazy busy to be honest, but also just crazy when I look back and I look at how I've ended up at this point in this moment. It's really quite strange to think about my journey and where I've come from and where others have come from too and why they've started up in this industry. It's just really fascinating when I speak to people about this. It's really interesting, in fact, that after the 2008 recession, when many people did lose their jobs and so much more, many of them took up new vocations and suddenly found that, like me, they were finally following their dream business. They started from zero, they started afresh, and everything seemed to change. Now, lots of them are highly successful professionals. So it was such a shame for me to see that it was hard times and trauma for them. That was the thing that rocked them out of their mediocre life and into something that they're really passionate about. Now, I'm someone who, for one reason or another, had dreams for a long time of doing something different, to live passionately and to follow my dreams and to feel as if I was doing something worthwhile for me. There has been quite a bit of hardship, but you know, I'm not the only one that's gone through that. Life is no bed of roses. There's no easy journey. But it is a journey and something that I have raved about myself on Inspired Camping for years. In fact, I'm going to read you a bit of my Inspired Camping mantra, which I wrote many years ago now, which is quite strange to think how many years ago it was. But let me read that now. So it says, "Be excited about the open road ahead, but wander from it often. Don't be afraid to get lost. You may find yourself. Share your dreams with passion to inspire others. Smell the campfire and respect nature. Pause, switch off, reflect, and for a time become truly happy." Now, if you want to read the full Inspired Camping mantra, you can find it easily by doing a Google search or searching in the little box at the top of the Inspired Camping page, and it will tell you the whole thing. And it's something that I wrote years ago back in 2009. So I was a new mum and I decided to start a glamping business using my experience in luxury hospitality. So I had a passion for being outside and being a regular camper. We love camper vanning and being out and about in different structures and in different ways, from luxury to totally basic kind of camping and hiking and being on the cliffs, being near the sea, open spaces, sky, stars at night. It's just something that I love. And So I've been dreaming about starting my own business for years, and I was pretty confident about it because I'd had almost a decade of experience working in a family-owned boutique hospitality business. So, I've changed a few bins and beds in my time, and this was a really lovely residence. It was a beautiful gentleman's residence in the middle of the countryside in rural UK. Now, a gentleman's residence, you might want to do a Google search about that one as well. They are unbelievably amazing houses, and we really were so lucky to have it. I knew how lucky I was. And more than that, I knew how lucky I was that I was coming from a family of entrepreneurs. So, as well as this lovely hospitality business that I had the honour to work in, I also worked in a whole food business for many years, and pretty much on and off for a decade actually. And it's something that really gave me a head start. All of this gave me a head start. I grew up with a great work ethic and a realistic outlook. But I also had a taste to set up my own business, even though my main work was in the corporate world at that point. So the idea about setting up my own glamping business had simply appeared, a bit like an epiphany, really. You know how something just feels right. Well, I had that feeling in my gut, so I knew that I was on the best path for me. It's kind of like an inner calling. I wondered whether it was maybe because of the experience I'd had in previous hospitality business working and interacting with guests, and the whole thing about the fact you're welcoming people into your little piece of heaven. And I didn't know what it was. But the thing is, at the time, I was struggling to find the information that I needed about the type of business that I wanted to set up, because it was such a new industry. To make sure that I had everything in place and everything I needed to succeed, I was really struggling to find stuff. So at the time, there really was very little around, and it took a lot of effort to hunt it out. So I travelled far and wide. I literally got in my car, got on the road and interviewed people. So I live in an amazing part of the UK now, and it's really very full of tourism businesses, lots of small businesses, but equally lots of large ones. And I was really lucky that I was able to find people who were experts in this area and to learn from them. I needed to learn from them, but it was difficult to do that process. It took time and it took money, but it really worked. And my goodness me, I had nothing then compared to what's available now. So even with my Facebook group that's available, where businesses can come together without having to jump in a car and travel for miles and actually arrange an appointment to sit down and actually talk to somebody, they've got it there on their doorstep or on their desktop. Every single day they can raise questions and ask about stuff that really matters in this industry. But that's when it happened. When I was doing all of that research and interviewing those people, that's when it happened for me. So I am one of those people who has had one of those life-changing moments. It happened one day when my youngest daughter was only 2 weeks old and my other daughter was 2 years older. So I damaged my neck, and that caused a stroke, and it nearly cost me my life. So shortly afterwards, these things come all at once, don't they? I was made redundant from my corporate job at the time because of the financial crisis at that time. This was in 2009. And suddenly I found myself with my world just crumbling around me. I was one of those people who just lost pretty much everything. Suddenly everything stopped. My dreams for the future stopped. All my hopes stopped. And, I became at the time much less positive. I've always been a really positive person, but this was a time that tested me to my limit. And I still get really emotional about it now. But, deep breath, and I will carry on. But I want to share this with you. I think it's really important that we share these things with each other. So I was on the verge of losing absolutely everything. And my dream of starting a new glamping business, something I'd been thinking about and planning for so long, was over. So the next period of my life was a very dark time, but I know that I'm not alone with that because so many people have been through these challenges and they're hard. But we are amazing as humans, we are so resilient. So I had to learn to do lots of things again. It was like someone had gone into my head with an eraser and had removed random things permanently. So although at first I couldn't really walk, read or write properly, I soon recovered about 90%. Yay! The thing I struggled with mostly was my memory and how to stay positive. I found that soul destroying, and I didn't know what I would have done without my family. And you know what? I have so much to thank them for, and I'm so grateful. And also for the community of people that I had around me at the time and my friends, and how amazing they were to, step in and hold things up when I wasn't able to. The trouble is that every day we're told we're not enough. We see adverts all the time saying we're not thin enough, we're not clever enough, we're not pretty enough, handsome enough, rich enough, basically that we're just not enough. Then we wonder why our inner critics repeat the same mantra. This is something we all struggle with, even if we don't realise it. And I was certainly struggling with it at that point. It was something, and I still do now, you can hear it in my voice. It was a big deal. But as I say, everyone's been through something like this, and I am no different. And then suddenly something happened one day. I remember it literally just came to me. I started thinking about my end goal and where I wanted to end up, where I wanted to go. It was helping me feel more positive, to think in that way, to think with that context of the future and there being a positive future. I mean, if you think about it, if you had a new journey ahead of you, so if you had a new thing completely starting from zero and going forward, if you were getting in a car to start from zero and get to a place, you wouldn't do it without looking at a map and thinking about where you wanted to end up, your destination. So I felt a little bit the same. I had to think about where I was going to go and what I was going to do and the direction that I was going to take that was right for me at that time. So that's how it happened for me. I started at the end, and it's as if a light came on. I suddenly realised where I needed to go. Suddenly I had inspirational thoughts that really sent those tingles up my spine and into the ends of my fingers. It instantly became crystal clear to me. I knew how to set up a glamping business, and my experience in hospitality gave me what I needed to make sure it was a guest magnet. And I have so much marketing experience, both from my corporate background, but also from my work on inspired camping. So I figured out, if I couldn't do this myself, then the next best thing would be for me to help others do it instead. It just kind of felt right, That voice inside of me was saying, yeah, this is right. My gut was telling me this is right. It was definitely the best thing for me at that time. I realised suddenly that everything I wanted was still within my grasp. It just was going to look slightly different to my original plans. And all I had to do was to take a step forward outside of my comfort zone and grab it. The thing is that I've realised over the years that anything worth having is sitting just outside of our comfort zone. There is no doubt about it. It's just never going to be easy to really get what we really want. From that new skill that we're trying to perfect to the new idea we're trying to make happen, it's all outside of our comfort zone. So we have to be prepared to put ourselves into a place where we feel vulnerable to get it. I can highly recommend watching Brené Brown's speech, which is currently on Netflix and hopefully will be on Netflix for a very long time. It's called The Call to Courage. And in a way, it's watching that speech that made me decide to do this now, because she realised that she needed to put herself out of her comfort zone. And I can tell you, I'm out of my comfort zone right now. But I think it's important that you know me and where I'm coming from, and that's why I'm sharing this very personally with you now. So every corporate giant and every small business started in the same place, somewhere really uncomfortable. That place where we realise we are putting ourselves out there and people could start to say that we're not enough again. Where we will feel like we're not enough, where we'll feel scared of failure. No one's been given a magic blueprint for success. They just made a decision and got to work. Whatever we want, it starts with a decision and then action. That's it. It's so simple. Millions of people go to their deathbed with their music still inside of them. Whatever it is to them, it's different for everyone. Many of them leave this world wondering what if, and I really don't want to do that. They didn't take the time to focus on what was right for them. Instead, they hid behind the feeling that they were too scared to take action, or there were too many distractions and obligations, or they didn't know what to do or what direction to go in, and they didn't really take the action to make sense of it and to understand what their journey was. But rather than running and hiding, we should all be focusing on what we want and what our goals really are. Making a decision and then taking action is really what matters. That inspiration saved me and was the reason for what happened next. So my plan was to first test the market. So I started interviewing experts and using my own experience to write about it, just as I'd done in the early days. But I didn't stop there. So I was really fired up by my vision to inspire, and that's the reason why I have my Inspire brand, which sits under the Inspired Collective company. And I started to talk to everyone that I could about my plans, and I got a ton of great feedback. But equally, I got some raised eyebrows from quite a few who just wanted to maybe protect me at the time when they felt I needed to heal. But this was the way that I was going to heal. That's what I felt anyway. But I was confident as well that I could craft what I knew into a solid foundation to help others jump ahead of the curve with their own unique hospitality ideas. And doing that seemed to be healing me. And I kept going back to my past of when I was working in my family business and just remembering that, just those memories of that safe place just felt so great. And so I chose to share many of my inspirations on inspired camping. So yeah, now you know the reason why it's called Inspired Camping. And the reason that I did that was because, again, by sharing those memories, those dreams, those aspirations all around camping and being outside under the stars, it was something I loved. And by writing about it, it made me feel just so elated and great. It took me back to how I'd been before my stroke. So I felt just fabulous, and that's why I didn't stop. I was a prolific writer. I wrote article after article, and it was just brilliant. So as I produced content, my brain started to heal itself. It was as I typed, literally. So the words went from my brain down to my fingertips, through the keyboard and onto the screen, where my eyes would read the words and my brain would start the circuit all over again. Later I learned that this process actually has a name, and it encourages brain plasticity, something I had no idea of at the time. But it's a process that encourages the reconnection and regeneration of brain cells. I did not know this. If you visit Inspired Camping, you will see that my early articles are really quite questionable. But at the time, and as time went on, I started to function better and I got better, And I realised that, we're not perfect. We shouldn't fear being perfect. If we fear that, if we try to seek perfection all the time, then that just leads to procrastination. So if I was worried about the fact I was no good at what I was doing at that time, I wouldn't have done it, and then I wouldn't have experienced the healing that it gave me. At the time, it just felt right to be doing it, and so I followed my gut instinct, even though people were a bit worried that maybe I wasn't doing the right thing. But I started to get contacted by others because they'd found what I was writing about on the internet, and it started to put out hands where others were hanging out, and they grabbed my hand and they came to me and they started talking to me about it. They had similar dreams and they needed to find out how I might be able to help them, or they wanted just to be inspired more. And suddenly I started to get quite a good following. It became like a magnet to other people who were thinking the same as me and wanted the same as me. So I decided that I was going to create a place where I could share the exact steps that I had been using to build my own business, my dream hospitality business that had to remain a dream. And also to help people understand how they could find their own prospects and customers and guests, similar to how I'd been able to draw other people into my own ideas and inspirations and my business. So I decided to call it Inspired Courses. And that's where people can come and hang out with me in the VIP lounge, which I like to call it. It's a really special place because it's all about support, it's all about understanding, and it's all about sharing the knowledge that by doing what we're doing, we're all putting ourselves into a bit of a vulnerable place, but it's a place that we kind of need to be. So Inspired Courses is a place where I share all the tips and everything that I know about getting fully booked and attracting the guests and getting the occupancy that a business in this industry really needs. And it's also a place where people can talk about and share the challenges that they are facing, because we all have them. And it's really amazing that after what happened with me, I started talking about it openly. I did not want to hide it. I did not want to hide the fact that this had happened to me and that I had had brain damage. I did not want to hide it. I wanted to get it out there and be open with it. And when I started to do that, other people started to say the same to me. Oh yes, I had a similar experience, or I've had something a bit the same, but it made me feel equally as bad. And, others may just have said, I really get where you're coming from, and I really feel that. And so this is why I always share openly now. So happily, I've been doing this for so long, and everything that I've been sharing in Inspired Courses, that I now have the wonderful honour of having witnessed my early members now launching their dream business and getting great reviews. And what I now have is this joy of being able to share their stories and what they've achieved on Inspired Camping. And this is why I did it. This is why I do it. This is why I do what I do, to see what has resulted from my efforts and from their efforts, and to share that with others and to try and inspire them. That's why I call my businesses Inspired, because it's about inspiring you. It's about inspiring people. That's what's important for me. That's why I do it. So now I also have the joy of seeing people have their light bulb moments, and I see it in the audience when I speak to them. So I speak now to many events and I'm invited around the world to talk to events. And I love it when I can see light bulbs going on in people in their thinking, and they go out and they're excited after what they've learnt and how they know what it will do for them and their business and their dreams. And so that's really why I'm so excited to share this all with you today, so you can benefit from what I've already done and launch your own business. All the way through my own journey, I only ever did what felt right. And this is different for everyone. I know that. It was what felt right for me, and everyone is different. So I was also intrigued by why this is different and why some people feel what's right in one area and others don't. And I know that seems obvious to some, but since my stroke, I've really been interested in how the brain works and, more importantly, how it heals. And have really asked myself many questions over the years about how did my brain heal itself? And why do I feel different now? And am I different now? And will it happen again? You know, that question is something I ask myself. So I don't know the answer to those questions, but they do come up. I do a lot of research and I'm really good at finding out complicated information and making it simpler. And that's why I think I've succeeded quite well in helping people with their businesses. Someone told me recently that I had a really analytical mind, and I do agree with that, but I do remember to listen to my gut and if something feels right or not. So I think I have the balance. On my journey to find out the answers about what I'd been through, I came across Professor Bruce Lipton. So some of you may know him. He is a developmental biologist, and he's best known for promoting the idea of gene expression. And I'm going to talk some hard science now called epigenetics. And don't worry, I'm not going to geek out too much. I am a bit of a geek with these things, but I promise I won't bore you, or at least I hope I won't. So we now know that if we eat the wrong things, then this can switch on certain negative genes which we have naturally within us that we've inherited from our families and our family line. And these genes, if they're switched on, they can lead to illness and other issues. They can be switched off too. Now, Professor Lipton is super interested in the placebo effect and the power of positive thinking, something that I'm working on every day. And now I'm going to try and explain this without getting too woo-woo and without getting too geeky, but I'd really like to share it, and I hope that's okay. The thing is that we are only just starting to understand how important our inner voice is, our subconscious. So if you think about it, this is 95% of the brain is our subconscious, with our decision, emotion and action and the behaviour part only being about 5%. So if you think about it, 95% of our brain's processing power is beyond our conscious awareness. That's how we're able to do amazing things like digest, breathe, grow babies inside of us and other amazing things without having to make decisions about any of it. I remember when I was pregnant with my babies and I loved announcing to the world, I've just grown a heart, I've just grown some fingers, I've just grown a brain. And all of it just happened without me doing anything. You know, it obviously was my subconscious and my body was doing it all, and I was taking all the glory. But this subconscious is really wise and often tells us the direction we should go in and the decisions we should make. Many call it a feeling in their gut. Have you heard people saying, my gut tells me this is right, or no, my heart's not in it? So this is all the subconscious in action, and I really like to listen to my subconscious because I think it's very, very wise. Now, it's more than wise. It's actually part of a system. It's called the vagus nerve, which is in our gut, which talks to our nervous system. But I am not going to go into it in too much detail because I can almost see you glazing over. But I find it fascinating, and it constantly kind of makes me search out that feeling inside me, that feeling telling me what direction I should go in and what I should do that's right. It's what encouraged me to start Inspired Camping, and which later helped me heal. And that was just because it felt right. I kind of treat it like it's a very dear and old friend taking me by the hand and gently letting me know the direction that I should be going in and what I should be doing. All I need to do is listen. And I truly hope that you are listening to your inner voice too. Now that's what I call inspired. So I hope you didn't get too thrown off by this very personal episode. You know, I don't hide what's happened to me, and I hope if you are struggling with things that you don't hide it and you seek the help that you need from whoever you need it. And that if you feel that you would like to move forward with your business ideas, then listen to more of my episodes and, you know, read my articles, take the advice. And if you want extra help, come and find me. I'm over at Inspired Courses. So I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel and, you know, give me a review. How was this for you? How did it make you feel? And, you know, what are your dreams for your business ideas in the coming months and years? You know, if you make a declaration about the goals and what you want to achieve, who knows where it will take you. Take care, and I'll see you soon. If you are dreaming of one day owning a luxury camping or glamping business, have you ever wondered what leads one owner to be successful while another one fails? I've been fortunate enough to work with some amazing people over the years who have now launched their own business and are doing wonderful things in this space. But I've always wondered what makes one business succeed while another one fails. So I spent a bit of time identifying the key factors all the most successful business owners had to help people understand if they are cut out to start a glamping business. I wrapped it all up in a fun and informal quiz you can take to find out if you are cut out to run a glamping business. You can take the quiz over at inspiredcourses.com/quiz. So hop on over there and check it out.